Well, thank you, Representative Farrington, Committee. Thanks for the opportunity to testify today. I'm sitting in for my colleague Mike Lefebvre, who has a sick kid and is sick himself, and it's okay because we worked together to assemble this testimony, and which is based on his work for going on 20 years now, investigating these programs. I'm going to touch on three issues. First, some recent history on Michigan's economic development programs. Second, characterizing what the extensive body of scholarly research on these efforts shows. And third, offer some recommendations. In the modern era, Michigan began systematically trying to influence the direction of the economy under the administration of Governor Kim Siegler back in 1947. And since then, every governor has put his or her own stamp on the activity with several major expansions along the way. Fast forward to 1995 when Governor John Engler created the Michigan Economic Growth Authority. This granted select firms single business tax credits in return for agreements to create a specified number of jobs. Initially, there was a minimum of 75 or 150 jobs, depending on circumstances of the firm. The program was used sparingly at first. In the first full year, only 15 mega deals were entered. However, by 2009, the statute had been amended 20 times, mostly with eligibility expansions, many of which were transactional, that is, targeted at a particular firm, and also weakening of one's type requirements. As rigorous company performance thresholds and standards were eroded, the use of the program steadily grew. In 2010, there were 110 mega deals were announced versus just 15 in the first full year. The graphic that I brought in, the chart over here, shows the rise in mega deals overlaid with Michigan's unemployment rate. To many observers, it appeared that MEDC officials' main response to the plummeting state employment of the 2000s was ever increasing numbers of job press releases. The reality was that even with its mega powers, the MEDC presided over arguably the worst economic decline in Michigan's history, and this preceded the Great Recession of 2008-2009. Mega has been around long enough that several institutions have performed systematic studies of it. None of these gave a full-throated endorsement. Just one had a somewhat positive take. In 2010, the Legislative Auditor General reported that mega agreements, quote, have a combined success rates, excluding retention credits, of 28% relative to their stated goals. The figure actually overstated the impact because it did not control for how firms without special favors fare. Studies published by the Mackinac Center in 2009 and 2005 did control for this and found lower job creation impact. In 2010, the Anderson Economic Group found that the opportunity cost of the program versus comparable across-the-board business tax cuts cost Michigan 8,200 jobs. Also in 2010, a study from the Upjohn Institute showed a positive but very small impact from the program. And this is the only positive assessment that we've seen. Upjohn scholars argued that MEGA had created 18,000 jobs over 11 years, which comes to a very, very modest 1,600 plus per year. And it's important to keep these numbers in perspective too. Michigan's workforce is nearly 4.5 million now. So 1,600 jobs a year really is, not even a drop in the bucket. The Mackinac Center's 2005 study that I mentioned found that for every 123,000 in tax credits offered, just one construction job was created, and all those jobs had disappeared within 2 years. The program had zero net impact on manufacturing or warehousing employment. In 2009, we did a second mega study and found a statistically significant link between mega and manufacturing jobs, but it was negative. For every 1 million in credits actually earned, there was a loss of 95 manufacturing jobs in counties with mega firms. I'll tell you one study we have not seen, and that is a systematic, methodologically rigorous and independent study commissioned by one of the agencies that operate these programs, including the MEDC. What we do see from these agencies are lots of press releases and lots of anecdotes. And those are no substitute for systematic and methodologically rigorous real studies. And incidentally, this goes directly to the questions that Representative Townsend and Horowitz and Yonker were asking. Where's the evidence? When you ask those questions, MEDC, you will get lots of anecdotes, but you will not get a systematic analysis that is controlled for the various factors that you all mentioned. More broadly, outside of Michigan, there is a great deal of academic research and literature on the subject of business incentive programs. Overall, the assessments are unflattering. The title of one, which was a compilation of the findings of many studies, tells the tale. It was called "The Failures of Economic Development Incentives." And here's an excerpt. Since these programs cost state and local governments about $40 to $50 billion a year, one would expect some clear and undisputed evidence of their success. This is not the case. In fact, there are good reasons to believe that economic development incentives have little or no impact on firm location and investment decisions. So why doesn't it work? In 2009, the McHugh Center issued a policy brief on the Film Incentive Program, in which my colleague, Mike Lefebvre, laid out 4 reasons. First, government has nothing to give anyone that it hasn't taken from someone else first. At best, these programs just redistribute income. Second, doing that costs money. Just the MEDC staff expense amounts to tens of millions annually. Third, these programs also misallocate scarce resources. MEDC employees are not imbued with Warren Buffett-like ability to pick winners and losers in the marketplace. And if they were, they would be billionaire hedge fund operators, not civil servants. Lastly, bureaucrats are inherently inclined to make decisions based on political rather than economic factors. And that's a recipe for bad performance in an economic marketplace. So what's the solution? The truth is, these are mostly political development programs, not economic development programs. They're a perennially attractive nuisance for public officials, but the public is starting to catch on, which means that the political costs of supporting these programs are starting to catch up with the perceived political benefits. The solution is actually quite simple. Just say no, starting with the appropriations process. We estimated that last year, just say no would have saved $300 million in the current budget. Next year, it will be more. The usual counter argument is that since other states do it, this would amount to unilateral disarmament. Well, sometimes the cartoonists do a better job than the policy wonks of exposing the fallacy of some of these arguments. And our friend at the Detroit News, Henry Payne, helped out with that. It's unilateral disarmament of a lot of ineffective pop guns is what that amounts to. So that's our main recommendations. Just say no. However, in the meantime, while the agency still remains, it absolutely must be made more transparent. The MEDC is almost certainly Michigan's least transparent government agency. A 2009 Mackinac Center policy brief gave startling details of this dismal record. The current administration has tried to change that. Still, as the budget drama of the last few weeks has shown, the liabilities created by past mega deals are still surrounded in mystery, secrecy, and uncertainty. Actually, the MEDC wasn't always so secretive. From '95 through the first part of 2009, when asked, it routinely provided breakdowns of the values of tax credits claimed and the companies claiming them. Our 2009 study of MEGA could not be replicated today, however, because since then, officials have asserted administration of a tax confidentiality. To the extent this is anything more than a specious effort to dodge accountability, the assertion raises troubling questions. First, if the state violated the law by publishing such data in the past, was anyone called to account? Did anyone lose their job? Second, who at Treasury or the MEDC decided that such data was now off limits? And why didn't they make this determination sooner? What we do know is that after being criticized with rigorous specificity for poor outcomes multiple times, MEDC became aggressively less transparent. Less available data means a lower likelihood that rigorous analysis of alleged job creation abilities would reveal these to be lacking. We recommend the following transparency solutions. Demand that the MEDC or Treasury explain why administration of a tax secrecy applies now but not in the past. Require that current claims of any past mega credits must be accompanied by public disclosure of their value by company, agreements, and when the credits were claimed. Require the MEDC to identify which mega projects are no longer active. And going forward, any company that accepts tax credits, abatements, or subsidies should waive any right to privacy related to its transactions with the state, including cash disbursements and taxes foregone by the state. And then finally, for the MEDC, mandate a rigorous and independent opportunity cost estimate of every program, similar to the one performed by Patrick Anderson. And incidentally, don't let the MEDC choose the consultant who does that work. The Auditor General might be a good choice for making that selection. So that's all I have. If there's any questions.
No questions. Thank you for coming out.
Okay,
Appreciate your perspective.